Jane Rothchild is somebody that is got an interesting journey, and I'm going to let her tell you because I don't read resumes. And as I told her, she said, can I expect? Of course, nobody ever knows since it's not scripted. But I always kind of tell people, feel like you're in my living room. We're just kind of chatting and forget there's an audience out there. But there is one, and they tune in and they come on the Facebook page and they send me all kinds of ideas and people they'd like to hear from or topics they'd like to hear. So, Jane, thank you for taking the time to come and share the microphone and tell people what you're about and what you've done and how you've done it and what you think.
It's my pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure.
Let's start with, are you from Florida? Are you from Palm Beach County?
No, I'm born. I'm a native New York City girl. Born in Manhattan, one of the few. Raised on Long Island and Great Neck, and an NYU graduate.
Really, my youngest daughter went there.
Yeah. So NYU graduate, and actually bought an apartment here in Palm Beach in 2017. And I'm now a resident.
Nice. Welcome.
Thank you. And I live with Bill Boggs. We're a couple.
Bill has been on the show, and he's coming back. He was such a hit and such a delight, so obviously you're going to be just as delightful.
Well, I hope so.
Oh, you will be.
So we've been down here since 2017, but we're snowbirds,
You come down during the season and go back to New York?
Well, we actually are now lucky enough to be triangulated.
Oh,
we
that's a big word for this show.
We have East Hampton, Palm Beach, and Manhattan. So we have my license plate is EHNYPB. Showing off slightly.
I wouldn't let you get away with not at least talking a little bit about the city and what you think and how do you think it's going to evolve.
Manhattan?
New York.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was born there in 1947. It's changed an awful lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's changed so much. I also happen to come from a family that owns real estate there.
Wow.
So I'm blessed. I'm very blessed. I believe in New York. I mean,
Most New Yorkers do.
Yeah, and I know it'll come back. It's so sad for me now. I mean, I'm rarely there, truthfully. But when I am there, when I've been there within the last year or so, the number of stores that are closed, the number of restaurants that are closed, the number of homeless people, it's depressing. It's sad. But au contraire, on the other side, all the restaurants that have survived have put out the cafes along the sidewalks and the streets, and that's kind of fun, and it's European.
I was really surprised because I used to go to New York a lot. My daughter went to prep school at the master's school in Dobbs Ferry, so I got up there to visit with her. And I was there during the Giuliani years, and I don't understand what happened or how the voting has changed or why.
Well, I mean, New York is predominantly a Democratic. It's Democratic. De Blasio was a big disappointment.
I think.
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
Well, we're not too much on the show.
Oh, my God.
And I don't really even get into to me, it isn't even politics. This is an ideology that he had. I have Democrat friends. This is not the Democrats I know.
But yeah, I mean, personally, I didn't vote for him. I think he won because of Dante, his son. He ran such a great commercial with his son, and I think that's what made him win.
Jane, I have often said American people are not stupid, but they are underinformed. And they're underinformed because our media doesn't do the job they should.
Yeah.
And I came from the media, so I have a lot of respect for the good ones. But journalism has taken such a turn, it doesn't matter what philosophy, it matters what news is, and it's just not reported. And, of course, the Internet has gotten so that you don't know what to believe anymore. So. And then you've got a state of New York, which I'm looking at saying, what in the world? It's such a beautiful state.
I know. I love it. It's hopefully things get resolved now with Ukraine. I mean, we're all just overwhelmed with,
We are.
with the state of things. It's
Well, and that's why I wanted to touch on it because, you can't skirt the edges. People, you lived in Manhattan, you're from the city. But most of the show is about this is only temporary. And think a good thought because people are just overwhelmed with not knowing what to believe. What happened to our America, looking at Canada and saying, we know we don't want to become that. And then the Ukraine thing that is so sad.
so sad.
And we get the government we deserve. So whatever, we have a right, we can change it, regardless of which party, just good men trying to, and women trying to do good things. They're not perfect, but pay attention.
I agree. Well, we still have Broadway. We still have Saks Fifth Avenue.
Right.
I mean,
And it's
and
open.
Bergdorf Goodman. We Bloomingdale's. So I'm a shopper, and I'm a theater goer.
I love Bloomings.
I love them all. So I love to shop, and I love to go to the theater. So, and there are plenty of restaurants to still.
So the theaters are back open and doing well.
Those that are open, yes. I mean, not as well as they have, but of course, people are still have to wear masks in the theater, I believe. Last time I was there in December, I went to see Chicago. I went to the 25th anniversary because I'm friendly with the Weislers who produced Chicago. So the theater go was a thrill to be there.
Right.
So many great shows. Lehman Trilogy was on, just marvelous. Yeah, and some people are scared and they're not going. So
Right. Let's hope the new mayor is able to change
I'm optimistic.
things. I am too.
I'm very
I
optimistic.
think everybody, Americans, their DNA is that way. They have faith. They'll give you the chance. Please don't disappoint us.
Yeah,
You know?
he's energetic. He's optimistic.
Yeah.
I like Kathy Hochul. Let's see what happens. I'm optimistic.
Fingers crossed. So let's go from there. Now that
Okay.
you're in Florida. So you come to Florida during the season, or back and forth. Hamptons isn't a bad place either.
That was terrific. Honestly, Bill and I have been traveling. We just got back from 2 weeks in California. We travel so much. We're having such a fun, full life.
Oh, wonderful.
I mean, I basically have retired, truthfully. And I'm his assistant. We're a team. Bill refuses to retire. He's an author now. He's a speaker.
Oh, I know. And
He's
good for him. He'll stay young.
Yeah, he's terrific.
So are you.
I just hang on to the coattails, and we're busy.
Well, let's talk about your retirement because I don't
Okay.
think you're retired at all. But your last gig.
Well, I think maybe chronologically, want to go back to the first?
That'd be fun.
Okay, I will start in the beginning, if that's
Once
okay with
upon a
you.
time.
Once upon a time. So basically, back my age, graduating from high school in 65, or college in 69, at the time women could be a nurse, a secretary, or a teacher. That's kind of the way it was back then.
Or get married.
Okay,
Get the MRS degree. as they
MRS
called it.
degree. Well, I wasn't ready to get married, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So my dad was a dentist. So I did spend a junior year abroad in Austria.
Oh, nice.
That changed my life. This was major. I spent the first 2 years at University of Maryland. Then I went abroad for a year, and it opened my eyes to the world.
Sure.
To the world. And I came back, went to NYU because it was convenient, and I basically said to the guidance counselor, here are the courses I've taken in the last 3 years. Pick a major for me. She said sociology. I said, fine, I'll take it. So my last year, Dad was cleaning my teeth, and he says, I give up on you deciding what you want to do or be. And I've been thinking, and I think it will be fun to work for a celebrity. And it was the thought, like, who would ever have thought of that, really? It wasn't.
No, you don't think of that.
Didn't think of it. So I graduate, and we land on the moon, and all these things are going on, and Dad's words are in my ear: work for a celebrity. What celebrity? Johnny Carson, of course, the best celebrity one could possibly work for. So Anita,
Talk about an icon. Wow.
Anita,
I miss him every night at 11:30.
Yeah,
I do.
I do too. Well, I do like
because the
Stephen.
humor isn't there. Sorry, but
Anyway, so what I did, because you have to know that I've never been shy. I've always had chutzpah,
imagine that.
and from New York, a girl,
Of course.
of course. So I just, and I've always dressed nicely. It's one of my things. I love clothes. And I go up to 30 Rock and wend my way up to the 6th floor where the Carson offices were. And I walked in the door. And there was a young girl at the reception desk. And, may I help you? Yeah, I'd like to work here. She said, well, just leave your resume. And I said, I don't have a resume. I've just graduated from college. I said, that yellow pad on your desk, give me that yellow pad. Give me a pen, if you don't mind. I'll just sit down here and I'll...
Oh, my gosh.
So I sat down and I wrote out all my summer jobs, gave her the yellow piece of paper. And what's funny, this is just a funny story. As an aside, she said, I have to go to the bathroom. Would you sit here for a moment while I run to the bathroom? So here I am. I sit.
That is. I'm always talking about God winks, but that is one.
So I sit down at the desk, and here I am, just 20 years old, and in walks a man who I don't know who he is, and I say, "Excuse me, may I help you?" And he said, "You don't know who I am? You are fired." It turned out it was Dave Tebbett, the man very close to Johnny Carson.
Right.
So he almost got me fired before I was hired. But jumping ahead, so I...
At least it wasn't Johnny Carson.
It wasn't Johnny. I wish it had been.
Right.
Anyways, I said, the girl came back, and I said, and I said goodbye. And I called the next day, and I said, I left a resume yesterday. To whom did you give it? And she said, Barbara Meltzer. My memory's not so good, but certain names stick in my brain.
Right.
So I said, may I please speak to her? And she put me through. And I say, Barbara, I'm Jane Rothchild. I left a resume yesterday. She said, oh, I'm sorry, but no, we have nothing. And I called her every day for 3 weeks. And she finally said, I am so sick of your phone calls.
Really?
Yes, come in Monday. And I did. So being relentless and being, just persistent are also part of me.
But it's amazing that she took your call.
She took my call. It was a different era,
Exactly.
People answered their phones. It was a whole different era.
Exactly.
1969.
It says a lot, too.
So I showed
That's
up.
when we could go to our next door neighbor and borrow an egg or a ladder. Now we have to go online and get it from Amazon instead of talking to our neighbor.
It's so true, Anita.
Yeah.
It's so true. So long story short, I was hired, and my job I started in November of 1969.
That year. We went to the moon that year.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. So my job was corresponding secretary. I answered all of Johnny's mail, and did he get a lot? It was thousands a week. Unbelievable.
I'll bet.
And it was fun, and it was interesting, and I'm a kid.
Did you get to see him?
Yes, I got to see him. Yeah.
Well, you got to tell us about him.
Well, I didn't see him that much, but somehow I don't know how things happen. I guess there's a lucky star over my head. Throughout my life, I've been fortunate in many ways, but for some reason, his secretary was Charlotte Klisch. And whenever Charlotte had to use the ladies' room, she would ask me to fill in and sit at her desk in Johnny's office, because his office was separate than the production office.
Of course.
And I would go there and I would sit there, and Johnny was very friendly, but he walked around in his jockey shorts because he didn't want to crease the pantsy to go on the air with that.
I love this. Did you all hear this? I'll bet you there's not even one of the major shows that have somebody on that could tell that story. So, boy, do I feel like a big deal on Inside. This is really Inside Out.
Maybe I'm revealing too much.
No, I think he would laugh. He's up there laughing, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, he would laugh, of course.
He would laugh. Well, he was very shy, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so long ago, and I really didn't have that much interaction, but he was always very gracious when I would fill in.
In or out of his jockey shorts, he was gracious, correct?
I never saw him out of, obviously, but he was gracious, and it was fun.
No, what I meant was either in his jockey shorts or in a suit.
Oh,
I didn't mean
excuse me.
in or out of his jockey shorts.
That's where my mind goes. Forgive me. I'm in the gutter too much.
I know he's watching, so I just wanted to clean it up.
Interesting. Now you just made me jump to a whole nother jump ahead.
Please.
6 years, and I am then producing the $20,000 pyramid.
Really? Who hosted that?
Dick Clark.
Dick Clark.
Dick Clark.
I had the pleasure of meeting him through my late husband.
Really?
Dick Clark had a talk show, and after it came back from the moon, he was on it.
Wow.
So I said hello. That's my
Interesting.
thing. Yeah.
Well, just you maybe just want to.
But I did watch American Bandstand.
You did, so did I, and I learned how to dance that way.
Of course. He
so-
was brilliant.
Brilliant. So Dick was the host of the $20,000 Pyramid. He was an employee, actually. Bob Stewart Productions produced the show, and Dick was just hired. It was not his production. But we were friends, and one evening we went out for dinner, and I just said the word gutter before, and somehow it made me remember that Dick and I are walking along in the city, and there is like a drunk man lying in the gutter. And Dick and I are both the kind of people who we help people. You know, you
Right.
jump in, and I'm not. I don't stand back. I always, I'm not one of those who watches something happen. I get into the.
What a surprise.
I'm sorry.
No, you're delightful. I knew it from the get-go.
Thank you. So Dick and I see this man, drunk, young man, in the gutter. Like he's half on the street and half on the sidewalk. And I say, Dick, we have to do something. So Dick goes and he picks up this, he lifts this guy who's so drunk and literally wraps his arm around the parking meter and gets him so he's on his feet, like he's, just barely standing. And the guy is wobbling and he opens his eyes so slowly, looking at Dick, and he goes, "Thanks, Dick."
Really?
And you can
Drunk or
imagine,
sober, he was
you
recognized.
can imagine the next day when he woke up, he said, "Did Dick Clark really
Yeah.
help me? Did he pick me
And
up?"
nobody's going to believe him anyway.
It's funny.
So you worked for him, or he was just a friend?
No, he was the host of I was the producer.
Oh, I didn't get that part.
I produced $20,000 Pyramid. I started.
What was your, as a sociology major, you ended up producing television.
Well, guess what? I've always said
It's fun.
I take it. I don't have a goal, but I get things done. And if an opportunity presents itself, and I'm a go-getter. So I worked for Johnny, and I stayed there only about a year because I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was there when Tiny Tim got married.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
That was fun. But I decided I wanted to get into TV production. It opened my eyes to a whole career that I
Sure.
never knew about.
Sure.
So I had made some friends, and I asked around, and at that time there were yellow pages,
Right.
and you look
Oh,
up.
I miss them.
I still have a couple, and you look up television production companies, and there are like 6 pages, and I literally went through, and I had a pad, and I called everyone, and I pounded the pavement, and I made phone calls, and I finally. Well, that's a different. Yeah, actually, I got a job working for Joe Cates. I don't know if you remember. Anyway, I did that for a year as a production assistant, and then I met someone who said, "Gee, Bob Stewart has a new game show going on. They're looking for a production assistant." So similarly, Anne Marie Schmidt was his right arm. I called Anne Marie, and I did the same thing as I did with Barbara Meltzer. I called every day for a couple of weeks, and again, she said, "I'm sick of you. Come in." And I began as a
I
production.
miss that time. And not that everything in the good old days was better, it wasn't. But there were some things called people to people that I miss.
So true. So
And
true.
civility, I miss.
Oh my goodness, Anita, civility.
Yeah.
That's a whole topic.
Whew.
That's a whole topic.
I try to infuse this show with it every chance I get for people just to think about it, because and don't buy into it and stop it. Just stop. We can, one person at a time.
Yeah.
We can stop. Don't with the name calling and the internet and.
Yeah, everything.
So now you're a production manager.
So I'm a production assistant
assistant.
for Bob Stewart Productions, and the first show I worked on was called 3 on a Match, and then another show, The Winning Streak, and then Pyramid came along, and that was about 1972, I think.
That was a big hit.
Big hit. And I began as production assistant for that show. And over until 1980, I rose up from production assistant to associate producer and then producer. But I basically, I was the judge. I wrote the categories, all the words, all the categories. I was writing all the categories.
So you had the creative side too.
I had that side too.
Yeah.
It's that side.
Well, tell me this. What does people get confused with production things? When somebody's a producer, they think that's the person that put up the money, but there's
No.
much more other. There's a better definition.
Well, the executive producer, that was Bob Stewart. He was executive producer.
he's
He
the
got
one.
the deal. So originally the show, he sold the show to CBS. He had a big track record. He was with Goodson and Todman.
Oh.
He created To Tell the Truth, What's My Line? I mean, Bill was...
Bill Todman
Bob.
was someone that was very special.
So Bob Stewart...
He lived in Palm Beach, actually. He and his wife Fran.
I'm sorry, who did...
Bill Todman.
Oh, Bill Todman. So Bob had a track record and sold the show originally to CBS, and we were on, actually, at the Ann Sullivan Theater, where Stephen Colbert is now.
Really?
That's...
Wow.
Wow. So I worked at the Ann Sullivan Theater, and then CBS canceled us at one point. You know, you'd get a year contract. And then ABC picked us up, and we moved studios. And I was there, you know, in 19, I won an Emmy Award as producer of the Best Game Show in 1979, 1980.
How cool.
It's cool. It was cool. Listen, my life has been so much fun, and on top of that, I love traveling. Part of working and for the game show with Dick Clark, we had to have 3 months off in the summer, so Dick had a 3-month break. I was paid for 3 months vacation every year, and I would just go to Europe, and I'd have a ball. And and I'm good with languages and whatever. It's all been fun, Anita. It's been a lot of fun.
That's what it's supposed to be.
It's been a lot of fun.
You know, you're one of these people that I always say, my dad told me, always work your hobby and you'll always be happy. And I have. I have, not in the wonderful for me because I feel like I've been blessed, but what a
Right.
great journey you've had, and you've worked your hobby.
I brought and then I switched. And then it's called being next. You go next, over, next. That's
How
something.
did you meet Bill?
Oh, that's
Boggs?
well, we're jumping ahead to 2010. I've never been married. I've never had children, and I've just been a free spirit that's had a lot of fun and
You
support.
are a free spirit, by the way, and it's wonderful.
Thank you. And I've always worked hard, and I've always spent my money. I mean, I've been good at making it, and I've been good at spending it. And I was a real estate broker in between, and
Your birthday isn't in July, and being a Leo, are you?
no, I'm a Libra.
Ah, there's the creative side. I just dabble a little bit. Fun. My daughter's a Libra.
Really, I'm a Libra.
Everything is balanced.
It's bad. I know,
Everything has to be fair.
but then it's also, what if?
Oh wow!
On this hand,
oh wow!
on
When
this
she was
hand.
growing up, I used to think, and finally I learned because I read. Oh, she's not arguing. She's trying to make sure everything is equal.
Is equal. Well, so I've always been a theater goer. I love theater, and I had a subscription in 2010 to Manhattan Theater Club, and I had a ticket that Sunday. It was a Sunday in October for some play on West 55th Street at the little Manhattan
Right.
Theater Club between 6th and 7th. And I happened to that day, I got to the theater, curtains going up at 7. I got there at 6:30, and I was just in the mood for a vodka tonic. I've graduated to vodka martinis, but back then it was a vodka tonic. And right across the street there was Osteria del Cerco, the Macchioni family.
Right.
That was one of their restaurants. And I just went across the street, and there was only one table occupied outside on the patio with 2 very handsome men. So I sat like one table away, because I'm not stupid. Why? I sat close to those handsome men. And I ordered my vodka tonic. And then I didn't initially recognize Bill, because he's been on TV so many years, but within 2 minutes I said, oh my God, that's Bill Boggs. And I'm watching the 2 of them have fun, and their table is filled with all this food. And I'm envious because I don't have time to order food, and I'm so hungry, but whatever. And Mauro Macchioni comes out, you know, the owner of the restaurant, and Bill stands up, and he embraces Mauro and introduces him to his friend, John Biffar, who's a videographer and a terrific man who lives in Fort Myers and a close friend of Bill's. And John then says to Mauro, have you heard Bill's available again? So I hear this. I have very good hearing. It's just terrific. So I hear this, and I look at my watch, and it says 20 to 7. And again, I have nothing to lose. I stand up, and I take like 2 steps, and I lean in between the two of them, and I say, "Gentlemen, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help it over here." I look at Bill, that you are available. So am I. Well, Bill's mouth goes like, "Oh my God."
I wish I'd known you when I'd taken the lessons.
Well, this is a lesson for women, the chutzpah. His friend John, who's 6'7", stands up, pulls out, they were sitting at a 4-top, pulls out one of the chairs, says, "You are fabulous, sit down." He walks over and gets my purse and gets my vodka tonic. And I literally sat with them, Anita, and we just had fun. Like we're talking now, we just had fun. We clicked.
So you missed the theater.
I didn't. I tried to decide. I was in my mind, as we're having fun, I'm saying,
Good-looking man theater.
I know.
Good-looking man.
Well, I decided just to stick with what I had planned. So we're having fun, and at 2 minutes to 7, I say, "Men, the curtain's going up. I have to leave." And they both stand up, and they both say, "Couldn't I have your card?" And I say, "Gentlemen, you're both terrific. I'll give each of you my card. You decide."
Oh my, humor's well, you probably weren't being funny, but that's
I
very
was.
good. Yeah, humor's a wonderful weapon.
And so, long story, so basically what happened was, John hugged me, Bill hugged me. Bill says this, I said this, "I find this hard to believe, even though we know now how unshy I am." Bill says, I said to him, "You are a better fit." I can't believe I said that. Bill says I did.
I actually am on Bill's side. I think probably maybe you did. Oh, that's wonderful.
I went to the theater, and truth be told, the show, I couldn't stop thinking about them. The show was dreadful. I left at intermission and came back hoping they'd still be there. They weren't, and I just sat down and had dinner by myself. And thought I'd hear from Bill
Shortly.
shortly.
Right.
And then guess what? After a week, I just go, "Jane, another funny thing you did." That's on to the next funny thing. What I didn't mention to you was that I had I needed a hip replacement, and for 2 years I've been suffering and limping along. And that particular day that I met Bill, that Sunday, it was the day that I decided. I went to Saks beforehand, and they were having their 75% off sale, and I wasn't able to walk the aisles. And that's when I decided, because the surgeon had said, "You will know when you're ready." And I said, "If I can't walk the Saks 75% off sale,
No,
I'm
yeah.
ready." So the next day after I met Bill on a Sunday, I called the doctor first thing in Monday morning and said, "How soon can you book me in for the new hip?" He said, "November 10th. I said, "Great." And I became kind of a shut-in. I couldn't walk. So I was just passing time until November 10th. So Bill called me on November 5th, and it was a Friday. And he said, "Do you remember me?" I said, "Of course I do." He said, "How about going out for a drink tonight?" I said, "I would love that." And I said, "In fact, I have to tell you, I'm getting a hip replaced on Wednesday, and I'm limping. But I think this is what the doctor would order for me, to go out with you and have a drink."
Oh my gosh.
So I met him at Bemelman's Bar or the Cafe Carlisle, rather. No, Bemelman's Bar.
Billy Short.
Billy Short, Bemelman's Bar at the Carlisle. I live 2 blocks away, so I managed to limp my way there.
It's a wonderful place, by the way.
It's a wonderful, we agree. Yeah. And we sat there for about 3 hours, and that was our first date. And we had such a good time, and he walked me home, said goodbye to me at the front door. And then the next day, Saturday, he called at noon, and he said, "Last night was so much fun. How about going out again tonight?" And we did. And I had my hip replaced on Wednesday, and he was there for me, and we've been a couple ever since.
What a beautiful story, Jane.
Thanks, Anita.
What a beautiful story.
Thank you, Anita.
Wow.
Well, that's the
Now,
story.
if all the New Yorkers, of which there are many, that are moving to wonderful Florida, have your spirit and your attitude toward life and this optimism that we also desperately need, then come on down. Leave your taxes up there, please.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's all worked out. I mean, everything's been so good.
So Bill's traveling a lot. He's still on stage. He's still entertaining.
And writing. So he's almost finished. Now, he wrote the book called The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog.
Right. I got the book. Read the book.
Funny.
Yes. Well, he is funny.
And irreverent.
And like you, in fact, it would be fun to have both of you when he comes back.
Well,
Honestly, it really would. This is so unscripted. Not that anybody could script me anyway, because they couldn't if they wanted to. I mean, I might be able to behave and do what I'm told and read the script. But the thing that makes this fun is the guests, and that's what the audience likes. They hear stories like this. This would be for New Yorkers that have just got here. I hope you're listening, because look what I brought you.
listen, yet follow in my footsteps. Life is good.
It is good.
Life is good.
It is
And it's
good.
to be lived and enjoyed.
And it's a choice if you want to make it good.
And down here, I mean, Bill and I, aside from all that he does, which is so much, we were at Kravis last week, 4 days in a row.
Really.
Oh my goodness, there's so much going on here. We saw Paul Anka, who was unbelievable.
Oh, you know what? I was supposed to be there, and I had to work. I was down in Deerfield, and I couldn't get back. We've got this little big, wonderful thing coming called Margaritaville with the cruise line, and the cruise line's still operating, so we're trying to make that transition, and there's a lot of moving parts. But I saw the Kingston Trio.
Wow, we missed that.
The Kingston Trio, the Brothers Four, and the third one. Brothers Four, all the originals.
Wow.
And what I loved about it was at the Kravis was the audience was two standing ovation. They had the same banjo player. And of course, the Kingston Trio, when Ed and I moved to California right after he retired from NASA for 4 years, the first thing I wanted to do was go to San Francisco and see the Hungry Eye.
Oh, good for you.
It was like, and so I could have sat there forever. And I don't know, it has to do with age, but I hear a lot of people saying everything old is new again, and that's probably because that era touched your heart. It had an optimism about it. That whole 20-year, from the 50s to the 70s, 80s,
Right.
it had a different kind of DNA to it.
Yes.
And I noticed that with the Applebee commercial, they played the theme song from Cheers.
Right.
And I said to myself that everything, and that there's a reason that today's kind of dark period is getting some of that back again. And it tells you that people are also turning because we reflect the music. So if they're liking that, the Frank Sinatra's era all the way through, we're going to be okay.
That's a very good point. I know that I love hearing the Cheers. I had forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
It's every time I hear it, I smile, and that's what we need more of. And I see things in commercials because I had a PR advertising agency. So art to me, the commercials I love, and some I don't. But I see a little bit of that thread, and that tells me that people need to feel again, need their heart touched again, because we've lost that. When you get into a digital, it's a brave new world kind of thing, and people like you are just a spirit lifter. Love your stories.
Thank you.
So what's your next gig? Where are you going next after? I mean, you're here, but
Oh, my goodness.
what's on the...
Well, right now, Bill is on about page 300 of the sequel to The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog.
Is he writing it himself?
Yes. Yeah. So he it's called Spike Unleashed. So Bill and Bill is so disciplined, unlike me, honestly. God bless him. He gets up every morning, he swims.
That does take a discipline.
And then he takes about 2 hours every day to write. And he's and it makes him so happy, Anita.
I have a feeling you make him pretty happy as well, though.
Thank you. Well, we are a good couple. We
Yeah.
work well because we're both independent people. I mean, I've never been married. We're together. But I've always done my own thing, and I'm very happy to do my own thing. And he lets me, and I let him do his thing.
Well, you're comfortable in your own skin, both of you, so that helps.
That helps. So we have plans for actually this year traveling. Now with COVID and now with Ukraine, I don't know if it's going to happen. Supposed to fly out April 18th to Berlin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then down to Vienna, and this is like a 6-week trip, and I just don't know if it's going to happen.
Let's hope. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
COVID thing was so insane that I it's just, people have got, the biggest thing I fear is that people lose hope. And when
You can't lose hope.
look at Canada, look at the mess that, and I see people just weary. So
We
you
all
know,
are. We're so weary of the mask.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but-
Don't have to wear it anymore. And oh, by the way, I'm hearing from Johns Hopkins and others that the masks don't do any good. And even if you get the 95 thingy, you have to wear it in such a way that it's doesn't help either. So
I don't know about that. Well, Bill and I have both gotten our third boost, the third shot, and we're scheduled for our fourth.
I think most of us have gotten the vaccine. I think the question was choice. It's when you're brought up in a freedom-loving country, it's a little hard to force like that, especially medicine, I think. And when medicine gets involved in politics, you end up with politics. So it's like.
Well, we're doing the best we can.
I think the American people are very resilient, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that the people are showing some real what's the word I want to say? Some real positiveness, and it's coming up from them saying, most people I've talked to and I talked to a lot of people in my career, in my job, and they say, we're not worried, it's America. And as long as people keep saying that, regardless of the goofiness that's going on out there, I think we're going to be fine. And if we've got spirit lifters like you, we'll certainly be fine.
I'm with you.
Tell me if you could give not advice, but if you could share a philosophy for today's world based on your experiences in life, what would that sound like?
Boy, oh boy. Well, a few things come to mind. Do it. I feel like the Nike commercial.
Yes, and not in China either, I have to say that.
Yeah.
Nike.
Well, self-confidence is a very important thing. Be kind. And be generous. Give back. I'm at a stage now where it's important, even by going to Kravis and the Wick Theater, and there is so much going on here. A member of the Norton Museum and the Society of the Four Arts. I'm an animal lover, so it's just a matter of think of others. Civility, you mentioned, is so important. Think of others, animals, people, and do what you can. I think every day I help someone. A woman 2 days ago had dropped something, and I saw that she's not capable of bending over to get it. To be aware and help where you can. Say thank you.
Oh, wow. The two nicest words in the English language, I swear. Yeah. And we don't say it enough.
I check out a Publix. I thank the people. It's just a matter.
And did you ever see the reaction? Because I do that. Once COVID hit, I don't know why, you ever see the reaction of those wonderful people that check you out? They're so surprised.
Yes.
And you can see the smile in their eyes, mask or no mask.
They're so grateful.
And they're so grateful. And they tell you that.
Yes.
I had one lady say, this is the first time in 2 months anybody said anything nice. And I'm thinking, that doesn't make me better than anybody else. It's just that people are numbed down and they don't think about it. So we try to remind them here on the show. Yeah. And people like you bringing messages that matter.
I hope so. I hope so.
You do. You've been an absolute delight. And I've got to look over here, Iggy, to see where I am. 5 minutes. Oh, so tell me.
Want another fun story?
Yeah.
Well, unless you want to ask me a question.
No. You tell a story.
If you want another Jane fun story.
I do.
This one is a great one. This is back around 75, 76. I'm working in Bob Stewart. And it was a rainy Sunday. I was living
This is the Dick Clark era?
No, yes. But I was living on West 71st Street, and it was a rainy day, and it was the kind of day, back then there were double features in the movies.
Right. You sound like that was before electricity. Go ahead.
You know what? It is a long time ago. So it was a day where I put no makeup on, put on a sweatshirt and jeans, and just walked to 72nd and Broadway. There was a movie theater. And I forget what I saw, but it was a double feature. And I go in and I sit down, and the second film is about to end, and in come three people, and they sit next to me, and I kind of look, and the one next to me is John Lennon.
Oh, wow.
And John Lennon, I look at him, he looks at me, and he says, what did we miss? I'm in shock, mind you. I said, what did you miss? You missed the whole thing. The movie's about to end. So the movie ends in a couple of minutes, And he turns to Yoko, and then he turns to the guy that I didn't recognize. And then he turns to me and says, anything else playing in the neighborhood? And I remember this. I said, what was the Beacon Theater was then a movie theater, and the Three Musketeers was playing. So I said, well, the Three Musketeers is at the Beacon. And he turns to them and he said, okay, we'll go. Come with us. So I joined John, Yoko.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. I'm just such a quick story because you had 5 minutes to fill. And it's such a fun story.
Oh my gosh, it is.
And so I go with John. I go with them. We sit there. I sit between John and this man who I still don't know who he is. I didn't see a second of the movie. I didn't absorb a second. I'm in shock. I'm just overwhelmed. We leave the theater. Now we're walking. We're walking back to the I'm blanking on the building where you lived on 72nd.
Oh yeah.
I'm just blanking on it. And it was terrible, but I'm blanking on it. But we're walking back there, and as we're walking back, the guy who I'm talking to, I see he's wearing a necklace, and it says Schmielsen. And I go, Nielsen Schmielsen? Harry Nielsen? And he says, yes. So I'm walking with Harry Nielsen, John Lennon, and Yoko Ono. And
I don't think I know who Harry Nielsen is.
Harry Nielsen? Oh, I don't care what the thing about me.
Singer?
Only the echoes of my mind.
Oh, right. Oh, wow,
The
yes.
songwriter and singer.
Right.
Very well
know
known.
the song well.
Anyway, we went out for dinner, and that was just an amazing evening. So that's another New York.
Did you get an autograph or a picture?
I did not.
See,
I didn't.
I know. Yeah, you wouldn't.
But
You
anyway,
wouldn't.
that's just another New York fun Jane story. That's it. That's all for the moment.
That's more. That's more than most people get in a lifetime. By the way, John Lennon.
I know.
Wow.
I know. So
What's your
nice.
Favorite, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh my, that's tough.
I know, but pick one.
Pick one. Dr. Zhivago. I don't know. There are so many.
See, I'm so hokey. You know, it's like love story or
Love
something.
story. Yeah. I can't even. Splendor in the Grass.
Oh, Splendor in the Grass. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I know, but I just kind of wanted to have you share some
Oh,
good movie thoughts and Johnny Carson.
and Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson and Jay Leno. It doesn't get. I mean,
John Lennon.
John Lennon. Jay Leno.
Yeah.
John Lennon doesn't get much better.
Oh
than
my
that.
God, really? So I'm the lucky lady, and
You
now
know,
I'm with Bill Boggs.
Yoko Ono owned a home in Palm Beach.
Oh,
On
really?
the ocean. She bought the Brownie McLean estate. John R. McLean that owned the Hope Diamond, and it was a very big deal.
Wow.
And so there's a little history
Wow.
for the audience and for you. But yeah, we didn't see much of her. But
Yeah.
and I don't think she resided in it a long time, but it was a very big deal to have her come to town. So
It's been.
if she's listening,
Is she listening?
you know, you got to
One-
meet John Lennon.
One addition, when I worked for Johnny Carson, all the mail and all the gifts, I got them, and I got to keep everything. Johnny didn't want a thing. And I think it was John or Yoko sent him the book Grapefruit, autographed. And I have that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
You know what, kids? The audience, we all, when we come back our next life, we want to be Jane. I mean, what a fun trip you've had.
I have.
And so thank you so much for spending the hour with us and sharing, I know, just a little tip of the iceberg. So
Thank
maybe
you.
you and Bill, you'll come back with Bill and we can really have a good, another good time with you. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
I know you're busy.
My
so,
pleasure. Thank
know,
you.
I'm going to get a lot of mail on this one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Alan Zweibel, original Saturday Night Live writer and Thurber Prize-winning author of The Other Showman, says, "The Adventures of Spike the Wonder Dog is so smart, witty, and inventive that I had to keep reminding myself that I didn't write it.